Hey, and welcome to After Hours here at Linda's Electric Quilters.
Yes.
Oh, no extended whoop, whoop, whoop this week?
No, not this week. It's a yes.
Okay, all right, we'll work on that. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight. We are going to be taking a look at the second block in the traditional block package that you have. I say second block, it's not like they're labeled, but it's the second block that I put together.
Exactly.
In this one, in that piecing. And tonight we're going to be taking a look at using Basic 8 along with a few other different design ideas to tackle this next block.
Exactly. I think we should just get started.
Okay, well, let's head right over there and take a look at what's going on the machine.
And don't forget to put your questions in the feed, and they will get answered by the staff.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So let's head over there.
All right.
So over on our machine right now, I've got the kind of the center of this block blown up on camera. And this is a lesson on using the fabric to, sometimes your fabric has a design already built in on it, and using this fabric design to kind of come up with what your quilting design is going to be. It all depends on how dense you want to make this. This one has little squares and little polka dots on this, and we're going to follow these squares into the center, and then you can follow the polka dots on the way out if you want to make it really dense. Or we can follow again these squares into the center, and you're going to, no, that wouldn't make any sense. I don't know where my train of thought just went there. I literally was going to say the exact same thing I just said. No, that's what we're going to do. Okay, I don't know where my train of thought just went. It's late. Wow, that was funny.
That's okay. I'm over here thinking about that song, Little Polka Dot Bikini.
Alrighty then, I'll take my brain lapse over the polka dot bikini.
Polka dot bikini. That was like a song I think like in the 50s and 60s.
I don't think it was that long ago, but anyway. All right, so we're gonna start over here. Take a single stitch, pull up our thread, and we're just gonna be using a 4x8 ruler or any type of straight line ruler that you have to use your. Get a nice. Where is my brain tonight? Getting a nice straight line from there to there. So take a couple single stitches here. There we go. And I'm going to use that ruler just to give myself a nice straight line. Now this doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but I'm just more or less following what's going on with this fabric. So once I get to this one, I can move my ruler over to this side and work my way, and just kind of more or less cut right through those squares.
And this is definitely one that you could even, you know, you don't have to do that 1/4 inch. You could skip over and do the next ones.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's just all the white dots.
Move this over, there we go.
Or
So
squares, actually.
Yeah, white squares, yeah. So then you can work your way this way.
Yeah.
Laying that there, turn it, and just using that as your nice straight line guide. All the way around. And I went a little too far there, that's all right. Back up a little bit, design choice. Right there. And you're just turning this around and around, but you're using your fabric as a design inspiration idea. And there's so many different printed fabrics out there that you can get that idea from, right?
Yep, there sure is.
So we're working our way. Like I said, again, this isn't hitting right on this for time purposes, but that's okay. You're just working your way around this. And if you wanted to take it a little slower, you could stop at each of these sections with your needle down, turn your ruler to get it more in alignment with where you want it, and then take off from there. So you can stop again, needle down, and then turn your ruler. Whatever makes you more comfortable. Turn this, and you work your way around. No comments tonight, Diana, from you.
I was watching you. It looks good.
Okay.
I was just thinking,
I like your comments. They keep me going.
No, I was just thinking that it's probably good for a beginner to stop, like you were stopping, just so they get their hopping foot back in the right position before they turn. Yeah, there you go, and then go.
Which there's nothing wrong with that. You could stop it at each one of your points and turn. You end up sometimes getting a better design that way if you're not flying through it.
And then once you get really good, you can fly through it.
So, okay, I knew where my brain was going earlier. I just found out. It just hit.
It just found
It just
out.
hit. It just hit finally. Okay, so we
Way
followed this
here,
all the way
actually.
in to that section right there. You could stop right here and cut your thread and be done. Or you could travel your way back out using the polka dots. I like not traveling my way out using the polka dots. The polka dots give it a little bit of dimension that way, and it kind of cuts through the squares. Looks like it was made to be that way, and it looks like it's actually part of the fabric.
Yeah, it does.
So you could tie off right here. That's where my brain was going. I knew I was somewhere with that. I knew I was going somewhere with that. So you can go ahead and tie off your threads right here, and then pull up your bobbin thread. We're going to finish that one right there.
Awesome.
A little bit less dense, a little easier to work on, a little easier on the eye. Starts to look like thread painting if you do it all the way. But nothing wrong with that either way. If you have a big block with, a larger print of this, you might have to go back to fill in that spacing just for
definitely if it was
batting
like an inch
purposes.
apart.
Yeah,
But no, that looks good. I like that.
just like that.
Awesome.
Good luck.
All right, what's next?
All right, so next thing we're going to do something in these turquoise little triangles. I'm going to take my basic 8 stencil, label side down, and I'm going to line up the corners of the block and the piecing with my basic 8. And since I'm going to be focusing only on the triangles, I'm going to take my pounce powder, give it a hit, and I'm just going to be doing a line, just a pounce line, right in these triangles, because I'm just using it to find a center reference for that triangle when I work through it. Just like that. So move your stencil away, set your pounce powder and everything off to the side. Have a nice faint line to work with, and that's perfectly okay. We can start here at the bottom tonight. And you're going to work your way into this and make a little nice loop here and work your way right back out.
I love chalk pencils.
And you're going to do that all the way around. Yeah, really easy to see with having chalk. A little harder on camera for y'all with the lighting, but you get the idea. You're going to kind of work your way around, and you're going to do that all the way through these, and then we'll come back in and do a center arc just to cover that up. So we shall start down here and take a single stitch, maybe. There we go. Lost my hand there.
Don't lose your hand.
Don't lose my hand. Okay, take a couple single stitches.
Lost
there we
your
go.
train of thought, losing your hand.
I know, I'm all over the place tonight. Sometimes that's how some of the best quilts come out, though, when I'm all over the
true.
place. All right, so we'll start it up. And come into this. Out to that point. Into this point. And you can make these as deep or as shallow as you'd like, completely up to you. I'll pause with my needle down there real quick, and then come on back. And my curve was a little off there, so I'm just going to do a little bit of stitch in the ditch. No one's going to know that but me. Well, now y'all do too, but that's okay. And then do a little arc in here to cover this up. Arc here to close that off. Arc here. And this is going to be a little baby arc. So a little stitch in the ditch, a little bit of a baby arc, and a little bit more stitch in the ditch. I'm going to come and put a heart in here. That was my, there you go, I meant to do that. That's what that meant to happen there. So just like that, you can fill up those sections really easily.
Yeah, and you could put hearts in all those corners, and it would totally, you wouldn't even notice a difference at all.
Do a little heart there too. So I can pull up my threads and trim those away. And now what I'm going to do is work in these blue triangle pieces. So we'll get camera adjusted real quick for us to do that. So let's do the ones on the right. That looks good. Yeah, ones on the right are nice. Just like that. And in this one, I'm going to be doing some feather work. So grab your chalk pencil once more. And you can start here, kind of to keep these moving in a corner if you want to. You could start right down here. The basis of this is you're going to come to the center here and make more one little plume here, and then you'd build off of that. So go ahead and draw your feathers out. Remember, on your way down, nice deep echoes there, or not echo, excuse me, deep vein there on that feather just to keep it nice and staged. And then you can go ahead and do it this way. If you go ahead and draw it out ahead of time, you have something to follow when you're quilting through this, because to make it faster, if you're working from a point to a point section over here, so let's say this point to this point, if it's already drawn out, that way you don't really have to think about how it's going to work, and you can just build off of how you naturally want to draw it. So you can build that like so, and this one over here like so. Just like that. So we'll start over here in our corner. And I'm going to pull up my bobbin thread. And what I'm going to do here is just go ahead and start stitching. So I'll come in a little bit. And since I have this drawn already, I have something to follow. And I'm not having to think about the exact direction that I need that stitching to go. Now on my way out of this, it's more natural. That's the way I like to do feathers, on the way out like this. But the starting position, I needed to have something to work with. And so it helps chalking it out ahead of time. You have something to follow. You know the motion that you need to do. Just like that. And that's two different ideas on this one. This one came to a point at that triangle. The other one came into more of a circular plume. Completely up to you, however you want to do that. Just like that. If we want to come in here and do these little sections, we could take our ruler, do a little bit of stitch in the ditch on the way back. Like that. And for this one, we can follow the exact same idea that we were doing. I drop down just a hair that we were doing in the center. And for this one, I can come to here, turn, and this one we're just following those squares again. Now these squares on this one, you have to be able to cross and jump over onto those polka dots to keep it going continuously, but it deals with the density just fine. You're just using that section of print that is already on the fabric to get your idea across, just like that. So you would trim off and tie off here, and then you'd bounce off to this section right there. So I'll go ahead and pull up my thread.
Fun stuff.
Trim my bobbin thread. And then in these darker teal ones, I want to look at Pebbles. We had a request to show some pebble work and kind of how we look at doing pebbles when we do free motion quilting. So with the pebble work on this one, and this is going to kind of be all over the place on how I do it, but I always come in and try to chalk something out first. But you can start in a corner and kind of work your way out and start with that circular design and build off of that kind of into a figure 8 motion. And you can work in lines if you want to, or you can kind of go all over the place. Every other 4, 5, 6, 7, however many circles you want, one of them just kind of do a couple of overstitchings on, just to kind of give it a little bit of dimension, a little bit of depth on your pearls. And it will kind of have the eye looking around on how you're doing things, but you're just really building onto it. Just think of a continuous figure 8 motion. And if I tried to probably redraw that exact way that I went, who knows how it would end up. But you're really just kind of building it however you want to as you're working around. In one section, stop and do a couple of overstitchings on it, and then continue moving on. And you can fill up that section pretty quickly. So let's say we're going to start over, let's start here again. So pull up our thread. Single stitches to tie off. And here we go. You could also turn off your stitch regulator on this one. It's a little bit more fun to do pearls without a stitch regulator. So I'm going to jump into manual mode, and we're going to see how this one turns out. This will be fun. So I'm going to start at my machine. And remember, you're just kind of building off of what you chalked, figure 8 motion. Every now and then do a couple of extra circles around one of them. Just to kind of separate them from their buddies. It kind of takes way off of if one of them isn't perfect. If you overdo it a lot on one, then that's where the eye goes, and that one ends up being almost perfect at that point because it's so much stitching. So 1, building that figure 8. And this is something you really have to practice, but once you get it, and once you get that practice, there's no telling what you could end up doing with it. And I'm doing a couple of them extra stitching. Let's do one there, and one there. And pull up our thread and move out of the way.
I never thought about doing that extra stitching with Pebbles. I like that.
But honestly, it's not perfectly stitched over. I know we can all agree to that. However, that extra stitching, you look at those ones and they look more perfect. That way, that's the first place your eye goes as opposed to some that are a little less perfect.
Yeah, well, it gives it dimension too.
Yeah, and definitely kind of separates it, kind of gives it layers of stitching at that point when you do something like that.
I love that. Well, let's like zoom out to see kind of the work we've done, and then I think this is a good block.
Yeah, this was a lot of good lessons in this block right here. So you've got your following your fabric lines, kind of using that to come up with some type of stitching design, loops and arcs here, drawing out or chalking out what you want to do with feathers, so it doesn't matter what direction you come in with. Again, following the direction on the pattern, on the fabric, and then some fun pebble fills that you could do not only in a triangle. You could take it and put it behind applique. You could do it in backgrounds. You could, honestly, you can kind of take it wherever your design and wherever your mind thinks it should go.
Awesome. Well, let's go back over.
Okay.
All those great ideas you had.
Sometimes they're great ideas.
Well, it's fun, and what I've noticed with your pebbles is that you can do them in multiple ways. Where you were showing there how to do it on a figure 8, when you're doing a chain, there's a different way to do pebbles where you put the flatness that I've seen you do before. So yeah, all kinds of fun, different techniques.
So many different ways. But the best thing about it is these are pre-printed, and you can stitch over them a bunch of times. You can get a couple packages of them and really practice all of that.
Exactly.
Which is what I love. And I said that last week. I really, really like that idea.
Yeah, and you can also draw them out on paper.
Yes. Yeah.
Draw them out onto paper, do things like that. Take it over to there, practice with moving the machine before you put the thread down.
Right.
Then go and put the thread down. So awesome.
Then go and put the thread down.
Put it down.
Put the thread down. I'm making you a t-shirt that says that. All right, put the thread down. Alrighty, well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight on After Hours. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.